Shalom, everybody. Thank you for joining again this Bet Midrash, where today I'm going to share about some teachings that we give in our online school, The Restoration of the Soul According to Jewish Sources. And it's in French for the moment. We have been very, very blessed in those end times to get these wonderful tools and material from the Bala Sulam that can help us grow and work out our salvation. And I want to share with you some insights. Some of you have already done the inner healing group, so it's going to cover a bit of this material, but to go even deeper. So let's start with the Parashat Va'etchanan, because we are in the Parashat Va'etchanan, when Moshe is begging to enter the promised land. Because this is all what it is about. It's about the promised land, our promised land, entering our promised land, of which Israel, Israel represents the ideal. I mean, what it represents. And Moshe's speech in the book of Deuteronomy is a broad kind of rebuke, tochacha, a reminder, warning about all what the people have done, all the generation that died in the desert, how they have prepared themselves, their doubts on the way, mistakes, fears, hopes, and so on. All the 42 stations that we learned in the book of Bamidbar that are talking about the itinerary, the journey of our soul. And the book of Deuteronomy concludes the reading of the Torah, also preparing us for the months of Elul in less than 2 weeks, and Tishrei, which is leading us to Yom Kippur. So soon the Slichot prayers, the prayer of repentance, will begin, and we have a lot of inner work to do to prepare ourselves to meet the King who comes to meet us during this period. So this message is intended, therefore, for our souls. So let's start with this. So we were created with the body and the soul. And according to Jewish sources and to the Bible, our soul is composed of different levels. And we perceive life, reality, based on several factors: education, trauma, childhood, personal beliefs, all those kind of things that help us see the life through our own reality. So this perception is mainly expressed through the word of emotions, because we are made of various emotions. These emotions, since the fall, have been mixed with good and evil. This means that we can feel joy and love, as well as hatred, jealousy, anger, rejection, whatever. And what triggers these emotions are the events that happen in our lives. We perceive the world according to our emotions. Our reality is our own perception of life. So to return to this mixed emotion of good and evil, we have a concept in Judaism that is called klipot, which is shells or husks. All existence is created and receives life from the Creator. However, in order for the choice between good and evil to remain open and for the effort made to serve God to be rewarded, He created the force of impurity, which conceal the divine within creation. All this for a simple reason: to give us free will, the freedom to choose between good and evil. As mentioned in Deuteronomy 30:19, I call as witness against you today, not witnesses that pass away from the word, but the heavens and the earth. I have set before you life and death, blessings and the opposite. So choose the way of life, which is the Torah, that you might live in the life of the word to come, you and your children. I'm quoting from the Targum. These forces are called klipa in singular, klipot in plural. It means husk or shell. So just as a shell conceals the fruit inside, the force of the klipot conceals the divine presence in every being. Everything that is being created contains a spark of divine. But what we are is hidden beneath these shells, between these husks, these klipot. And for instance, one of the deepest desires of a person is, one of the main emotion is honor. The person wants to be appreciated. And in fact, we are unconsciously governed by this desire. And when it is not satisfied, we become imprisoned in a sea of unresolved emotions. Consequently, when our feelings are not precise and clear enough for us, we live in confusion and frustration. We didn't receive what we were expecting. So what is going to do Kadosh Baruch Hu to help us? He will want to help us escape from this emotional imbalance. Why? Because he loves us with infinite love, and he wants everyone to be saved. 1 Timothy 2:4, he wants all men to be delivered and come to full knowledge of the truth. So in this verse, we have been said save, meaning save from hell. Let's put in this teaching hell aside and those things that have terrorized millions of people for centuries. We are talking about is, and throughout all the Brit Hadashah, for that matter, is being delivered from the suffering and the sins committed because of the lust of our animal soul, the flesh. This is what we're saved from ourselves, from our klipot. So let's read the text from the Ptichat LeChochmat Kabbalah, the opening of the wisdom of Kabbalah. The Creator's original intention for creation was to grant created beings advantages commensurate with his generosity. That is why souls were imbued with the will and desire to receive his divine generosity that we call in Hebrew Shefa. It's about the will to receive, and the will to receive builds the vessel that contains the measure of pleasure found in this abundance, this divine generosity, this Shefa, because the measure of the greatness and strength of the will to receive this Shefa is proportional to the measure of pleasure and delight in the Shefa, no more or less. The more we want, the more we desire, the more we get. But it's good both in good and evil. So we need to get us out of oneself. We need to be safe from ourselves. The most important element for the existence of our internal and external worlds is giving. And Rav Dessler was a prominent teacher teaching about Musar, explains, man discovers himself throughout three things. Through isolation, what we call itbodedut, when it says, when you pray, enter your room and close the door. This is itbodedut. By being with God, so like this, we are being in the giving. We want to be with him. We want to give him our prayers. And the Torah gives us the key to the existence of ourself, our word. It tells us in the Parasha Ler Lecha, go for yourself. Step outside your perception of yourself, your inner country. Avraham is the nefesh, receives the divine command to distance himself from his physical body. Not to disconnect, but to distance himself. Move away from what? From that word. This is why it's called Avraham, ha-ivri, which is the Hebrew that crossed, uavar, he crossed the other word from word to the other. So it's called ha-ivri, the Hebrew. He is called to leave behind his pride, the need to receive honor, lust, envy, fleeting victories, whatever he could want. Because God asked him, or asked us, to distance himself from this word. In a few words, to distance himself from the desire to receive for oneself, from our body, which is the temple of our selfishness. Whereas the soul, like the source from which it comes, has the purpose of giving or influencing. So we have the deeds of the flesh and the deeds of the spirit. The flesh is about taking, the spirit is about giving. Leave your country, your homeland, the place of your childhood, that little childish corner within you, with the childish desires, the desire to receive for the self only, like a baby who just wants a bottle of milk. Leave that place of comfort that is so familiar and comfortable to you. Get out of there. Take with you your desire to receive, transform it into a desire to give an influence in good. It is from there that we can discover who we really are and the deeper meaning of our being. This is the basis of the existence of our inner world, as well as the existence of the outer world we all share. So it's not a matter of disconnecting from the physical body, but it's disconnecting and turning off, canceling this selfish desire to receive. And this is the divine will to help us on this journey, because he wants us to reach the goal, to leave the works of the flesh and enter those of the spirits, which is nephesh, animal soul, versus neshama, which is divine soul, which is the higher level of the soul that is accessible to us. So therefore, the first points we want to anchor in our consciousness are the absolute truths that are the basis of the correct view of reality. One is there is a creator of the world, a fact. There is a leader here who manages things. There are no coincidences, no hazards. Therefore, everything that happens in reality has a purpose. So this is the first axiom. Rabbi Moshe Cordovero tells that before anything emanated, there was only the infinite, Ein Sof. Ein Sof was all that existed. Likewise, after giving birth to what exists, there is nothing else but him. It is impossible to find anything that exists outside of him. This is very important to understand. There is not other creature or gods or whatever. He's filling everything. There is nothing that is not imbued with the power of divinity. If this were the case, Ein Sof, the unlimited, would be limited, subject to duality. But God forbid, He is one. This is what we read today in the parasha. On the opposite, God is all that exists, although not everything that exists is God. He is present in everything, and everything comes from him. Nothing is devoid from his divinity. Everything is in him. He is in everything outside of everything. There is nothing else but him. As mentioned in Ephesians 1:23, the fullness of him who fills all in all. It is he who gives or takes away life, no one else. It is him. And in Deuteronomy 32, we read, "See now that I'm he, and there is no God except me. I kill and make alive. I smite and I also heal, and there is none who can rescue from my hand." And in 1 Samuel 2:6 again, "All these are the might of the Lord, who is the ruler over the world, who kills and commanded to make alive, who brings down to Sheol and will even bring up to eternal life." So that's the first axiom. The second one is that the Creator has done, is doing, and will do all things, because everything comes from him. So there's no room for accusation. We are not looking for guilty things. Everything is allowed by the Lord. Everything that happens in reality comes from the Creator. These are all manifestations of his will. There is no one else acting here, and there is no factor that can come against the will of the Creator. Second, the third one, God is good and is kind. The Creator's initial thought is to benefit his creatures with his goodness. He wants to give us. He is a giver. He gave his only Son. The Creator of the world has not only done, but he is doing, and he will do actions. He is good, and in the right way of doing good, everything he does is for the good. Even what appears to be bad in our lives is in fact good. This is the absolute truth. We might not see it, but we have to believe this. It therefore encompasses all things in life, everything that happens in reality. So, and often the good is hidden and lies in a deeper level that we need to understand. And the fourth is the personal and the targeted targeted providence. The creator of the world is not only good and kind in general, is good and kind in a specific way for each one of us. The creator watches over us privately, precisely at every moment and in everywhere. We pray this in the Amida prayer in the morning. And he creates things personally for us in order to help us, to bless us, and to bring us to our destiny. Everything he does is due to his love and mercy. It is like a gradual and deliberate process of development that aims to bring man into a state where he can receive and contain the light of the Creator. So each step in the process is necessary, even if it does not seem good to us at the time it occurs. Those are 4 very important statements. Every negative event, which we call in the groups the movie we live in, is chosen in order to awaken the person to recognize that there is a blockage there so that they can remove it, to reveal the blockage. So when a person begins to recognize and separate from the negative worldviews and live the faith based on truth to the new reality, they begin to become aware of the good that was hidden until now. Because everything has a purpose and a function in our lives. The way we live our lives or are led by life has a purpose to bring us to become like his nature in order to remove the works of the flesh. Look in the Brit Hadasha. It's mainly a book of Musar, of reproof. We are commanded, despite that we are born again, but to remove anger, jealousy, this and that and that and that. It's always mainly talking about this, because we have to correct ourselves to remove the works of the flesh. So we came on this planet with different baggages, but we are not guilty of what we came to the earth with, but we are responsible for getting rid of it. So we learn in our school and also in the healing groups that it is precisely our most difficult, lowest places within us that contain a contrary potential, meaning somebody is very selfish. If he removes this klipa of selfishness, he can become very generous. He has the potential inside the klipa. Somebody who is very lazy has the potential to become somebody very zealed. So when we sin, grace can abound and transform that trait into a blessing. For instance, King David was a descendant of Lot, a descendant of the evil inclination. And he was transformed. It is therefore important to understand that nothing is superfluous. Even the snake has the same numerical value as Mashiach. It can become a vessel for the light. Everyone has exactly one unique path. This is the starting point. And every person in this world is developing and becoming aware of this purpose. That's the purpose. I have to come to fix myself. Automatically, instinctively, we associate the unpleasant with the bad, and we attribute it to the enemy. But this is not the enemy. The enemy is inside us. We need to understand that that even unpleasant things are for our benefit and not a mistake or a fault. There is a hand that guides everyone on the path that is exactly the right one. So if we have to go to this direction, because he wants us to go to this direction to understand something and to get out of it. Each of us is a soul, which is a part of God above, all wisdom, beauty, majesty, and splendor. We are in the unity of the soul in which we exist. Each of us is unique in our wonders and gifts, and we must believe that everything is right for us, that there is a personal providence for us. So this is leading us to talk a little bit about the different levels of the souls and their association with certain organs in our body. So the first and the lowest level of soul is the nefesh, the animal soul. This level of soul is associated with blood, and it constitutes the life force of a living organism. Above this level, we have the ruach. This is spirit or wind. We find this term at the beginning of the Torah in Genesis 1:2 in reference to the spirit of God, ruach Elohim, and in many other places to refer to the soul of great figures like Joshua in Numbers 27 and so. So he has the ruach of Elohim in it. And above, the third level of it is the neshama, which is literally like breath. Neshama and neshima, which is breathing, is the same word. And this was first introduced to us at the creation of Adam, when God breathed in Adam, nishmat chaim, soul of life, in Genesis 2:7. So in many places, Rabbi Chaim Vital was the student of the Arizal, the Ari HaKadosh, and the one who recorded everything, his teachings, describes the anatomy of the soul in different works, Shara Gilgulim, and so on. It says that at birth, a baby contains one complete nefesh. So nefesh, ruach, neshama. As the Torah says, the nefesh is in the blood. The soul is in the blood. It's referring to the nefesh. This is why it's forbidden to eat blood, to drink blood, or to eat it. And the Ari HaKadosh asks that since the liver filters the blood and is filled with it, it is the organ that is most associated with the nefesh. It is thus associated with the color red, which corresponds also on the tree of life to the left side, and judgment. It corresponds to emotions such as anger, pride, excessive ambition, a mockery. A person who is angry will have implication for their blood and faith. At the age of the bar mitzvah, a person now has the ability to fully access his ruach. So the organ of the ruach corresponds to the heart. It's associated with the person's impulses and two inclinations, like the two parts of the heart, the Yetzer HaTov, the Yetzer HaRa, the good and bad inclinations. And it is only at the age of 20 that the neshama becomes fully available in most cases. People just stay with the nefesh until the end of their days. But the neshama is housed in the brain and is associated with the mind. So today we know also that it's accurate scientifically, because at any, for instance, at any given moment, the liver, which is the largest internal organ in the body, contains about 10% of the body's blood volume, and it filters about a quarter of all blood every minute. Same way, we know that the most of the brain development is complete at the age of 20, generally. It is therefore not surprising why teenagers act wildly and don't make so good decisions before the age of 20. Teenagers are just not yet fully developed. So we can understand also why adolescence is so emotionally difficult, because it's the time where the ruach is at its full strength in the heart and one struggles with one's desires and inclinations. And reinforcing what was said in the Zohar, the Arizal taught that one does not automatically have access to these levels of souls, but he must work on himself and earn the right to reach them. This is what we develop in the classes and the introduction to the Zohar and so. Unfortunately, many people spend their life stuck in the nefesh because they live a very materialistic, animalistic life and never overcoming their desire, their inclination, which is in the domain of the ruach, or achieving any mental greatness, because there's the potential, but it's not realized. And this is why we have in the Brit Hadashah this whole passage about Galat 5 that talks about the deeds of the flesh. And he is addressing here born-again people. For brothers, you were called to be free of yourself again. Or do not let the freedom become an excuse for allowing your old nature to have its way, your nefesh. Instead, serve one another in love, for the whole of the Torah is summed up in this one sentence: love your neighbor as yourself. But if you go on snapping at each other and tearing each other to pieces, watch out or you will be destroyed by each other. What I'm saying is this: run your life by the Spirit. Then you will not do what your old nature wants. For the old nature, the nefesh, wants what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit wants what is contrary to the old nature, those opposing each other, so you don't find yourself unable to carry out your good intentions. And it is perfectly evident what the old nature, what the nefesh wants, what the animal soul wants. It expresses itself in sexual immorality, impurity, indecency, idol worship, misuse of drugs in connection with the occult, fighting, becoming jealous and getting angry, self-ambition, factionalism, intrigue, envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things, and it goes on. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, passion, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, self-control. Nothing in the Torah stands against those things. So those who manage to rise ever higher can attain even higher levels of soul, which is the fourth level is the chaya, the living, and then the yechida, which is the ultimate level of soul. We said that the yechida is the soul of Messiah. In the Torah, the soul is often referred to as chaya, including at the very beginning when God breathes a soul into Adam and he makes him a nefesh chaya. Genesis 2:7. He breathed into his nostril a breath of life, and man become a living being, nefesh chaya. The chaya is sometimes described as an aura. It is not housed within the body, but it radiates outward and plays an important role in interactions between people. So this is just generalities here, of course. This is whole classes on this. Above all is the highest level of the soul, which is the yechida, which is yachid, yachad, echad is the singular, which connects a person directly to God. It is like a divine umbilical cord, and those who are aware of it can feel it and certainly draw information from above through it. The Yechida also has a scriptural basis. For instance, in Psalm 22:20, protect my soul, nafshi, from this word, my life from the power of dogs. Psalm 35, Lord, how long will you look on? Save my soul, nafshi, from their plots, my life, yechidati, yechida, from the lion's cubs. Where David asked God to save his nefesh and his yechida from the danger. And regarding the ruach, Genesis 7:22, everything that had the breath of life, nishmat ruach chaim, in its nostril, and that was on dry land, died. So we see that all those five levels also have scriptural basis. In Etz HaChaim, Rabbi Vital again cites the Talmud as the source of the concept of the five souls, as well as the five worlds, the five spiritual universes, which are called olamot. Olamot means concealment. God is being concealed in all those words. The mystical Sefer Abair adds that it is in the secret of the letter Hey that has the miracle of 5. In the Talmud, the sages point out that the Psalm 103, 104, Baruchi Nafshi, by David, uses the sentence, Baruchi Nafshi and Hashem, let my soul bless God 5 times. According to the sages, these 5 times correspond to the 5 olamot, the 5 words, or universes inhabited. But by David, so Psalm 103, oh, my soul, bless the Lord, and that within me bless his holy name. Psalm 103. Oh, my soul, bless the Lord. Then bless the Lord, all his work in all places and dominion. My soul, bless the Lord. Psalm 104. My soul, bless the Lord. My God, you are infinitely great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty. May the sinners vanish from the earth and the wicked be no more. My soul, bless the Lord. So 5 times, 5 levels. Although an in-depth explanation of this word is a topic for another time, we can say that those 5 souls correspond to the 5 worlds or universe. So to come back to our nefesh, we often operate from our nefesh. people act from their nefesh. If we return to the example of the liver, the Zohar tells us that the problems of faith related to anger and resentment are caused by the king of the organs, which filters the blood. Some problems of faith and the gallbladder can be the result of klipot on the nefesh. So everything we do has an impact on our body. Our emotions have an impact on our bodies. And this system has repercussions in the spiritual realm. In our discussion in the liver, we must keep in mind that the nefesh, which is the part of the soul which interfaces with the body, resides in the blood, as we say. Don't eat the blood, don't eat the nefesh. And it's associated to the liver, as we said. So the word nefesh is associated with desire, as in the verse of Genesis 23:8, Im yesh et nafshechem, if it is your desire. Thus, the bloodstream carries our fundamental desires and lusts. The degree to which we filter our blood, that is how we develop our spirituality and control our baser instincts, will determine the path of ascent on the spiritual ladder. So most of the teaching are from the Bala Sulam. He was called the Lord of the Ladder, alluding to this system. If someone desires, so the nefesh, a materialistic life, his blood will reflect his choice. The liver will absorb the nutrients of lust and return gluttony to his system. So he will be bound to his appetite, for instance. If he desires spirituality, his liver will transform the spiritual nutrients and release pure blood into his system. So the blood which is red symbolizes heat, anger, bloodshed. This corresponds to Esav, who was red. Esav, Edom, is red. Edom therefore represents both the force of evil and the liver, which is the focal point of blood activity in the body. So anger and accusation are his power. So that whoever is a victim of these attributes, accusation, anger, and so, places himself under Esav's influence and control. So this is taken from Nikutei Moharan. Hashem wants to help us to transform ourselves. This is why we have been granted the new birth, so we can fight against the works of our animal soul. While it desires to receive selfishly to satisfy its desires without barrier limits, his spirit, the spirit of law, leads us to become like him, to become influencer in the good sense of it, to become a giver, sharer. So the Rabbi was saying also, I've not yet met a person who walks from wall to wall, preoccupied thinking, master of the world, what can I do for my friends? Because in the sense of giving, because generally we spend 99% of the day thinking about ourselves. And John 15:13 tells us there is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. That's about the give. And in Matan Torah, the pleasure of giving that comes, he was a student of the Bala Sulam, the pleasure of giving that comes from a heart that truly loves is an eternal pleasure. It is the opposite of selfish pleasures, which are never satisfying. It's like we want this for us, but it's never enough. We're never full with it. I want love, but I want the love to love myself. I want people to love me. I don't want to love them. I want them to love me. It's never fulfilled. It's always empty, and we want to fill in and to fill in. We are often unable to determine whether we are giving or receiving, because sometimes we need his help to discern our true motivations, because selfishness is a self-destructive mechanism. But sometimes, and most of the time, we are in the receiving. I'm giving him something because I want to receive something. It's not pure gift. Like marketing, I'm giving you this because I want to receive that. It's never pure giving. In our broken state, we call it the broken state, the flesh, we think that we can derive intense pleasure from the physical pleasures of the world. and that the spiritual path of the Torah, the mitzvot, and giving to others is a source of suffering. It's difficult. But it's the opposite. This is why people run after what they can receive, and they flee or they turn their heads away when it's time to give. Working spiritually to achieve the desire to give is not the heart of the problem. The main work is to strive to acquire a new nature of love for others. Then the desire to give comes naturally. So first we have to clean, and then we become a vessel. We must struggle daily to overcome our selfish desires, as Shaul says in Romans 7. For I do not do the good that I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, I keep on doing. For I do not do the good I want to, but the evil if I do not want to, I keep on doing. Let's ask ourselves, what am I going to give today? Can I help someone for free today? Or am I still in expecting things, love, honor, money, whatever? And the Tanya teaches us in the chapter 2, the second soul, the neshama, is truly a part of God above. As it is said of Adam, whose soul was a general soul, neshama klalit, meaning that it included all the particular souls of the future generations. And it says, and he breathed into his nostril the breath of life. And as we say in the morning prayer, you breathed it into me. It is written in the Zohar, he who blows does not from within himself, that is from the inner part of his being, for by blowing with force, man expresses his inner and profound vitality. Therefore, when we breathe, neshima, we are connected to our neshama, divine soul. So this should show us our value, for we are part of God. I have a divine soul within me, and I have an infinite value and intrinsic goodness. But most of the time, we are covered by klipot. And we don't really believe this. We believe this in our head, but not in our heart. We condemn ourselves. We find ourselves not nice, not a good person, not beautiful, old, whatever. We despise ourselves without knowing it. So this is why the Lord is sending events in order for us to wake up and to realize what we really believe, which is the opposite of just what I just read. We are part of God. So we have an intrinsic value. So the great revelation of the teaching of the Bala Sulam, on which the school is based, is, and I quote, it takes a lot of effort to reach the state where the suffering in our lives come from feeling trapped by our selfishness and unable to truly love others. We need divine help to reach this state because it is beyond our nature. We must understand that the problem is not with the others. The problem is within ourselves, the way we perceive the life. The inner work required to reach the state of pure giving is truly the greatest secret on earth. Many people talk about it, but that does not mean that they are connected to it. And the secret is revealed when God opened our eyes and hearts. 1 John 2:9 tells us that anyone who claims to be in the light while hating his brother is still in the dark. This was the plague of the darkness. We couldn't see each other. This is the plague of the darkness. The person who keeps loving his brother remains in the light because he's in the neshama, like God is giving, and there's nothing in him that could make him trip. But the person who hates his brother is in the dark. Yes, he's working in the dark and he doesn't know where he's going because the darkness has blinded his eyes. So we must understand that we were created as vessels to receive the good that he wants to give us. According to how we benefit from his goodness and the desire we have for it, our vessel will be filled or emptied. Matthew 7, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find, knock and it will be opened to you. But James tells us, you ask and you do not receive because you ask wrongly in order to spend it on your passions. Say either one or the other. What this teaching reveals is that we cannot mix the pure and the impure, the mixing of the species like linen and wool, meat and milk, as told in the Zohar. Either it is our flesh that wants, either it is the spirit between us, either it is the nefesh or the neshama. James 3 again. Does a spring send forth from the same opening both fresh water and bitter water? Can a fig tree, my brothers, produce olives or vine figs? Neither can salt water produce fresh water. Human beings are made of two engines, body consciousness, which Kabbalah calls the desire to receive for oneself, and soul consciousness, called the desire to receive in order to share. Our body's predisposition is the desire to receive things for selfish reasons, while the soul's predisposition, the neshama, is to the desire to receive things for the purpose of sharing and connecting to the light. We always operate from one place or the other. And although we have all physical needs, we can choose whether our desire to fulfill those needs is motivated by the desire to connect to the light or by the desire to fill my own selfish desire. How can we tell the difference? How can we tell if our desire comes from a place of selfishness or sharing? One way is to ask ourselves if the desire is for instant gratification. If so, it comes from the ego. I want to eat this chocolate ice cream, but it's not for God, it's for me. I want it, I eat it. Or I want to eat this chocolate ice cream, but I'm going to reserve it for Shabbat, for the delight of Shabbat. This is totally different. If the desire to receive for oneself is like an addictive drug, we want more and more and more. But it offers quick fixes, but it doesn't satisfy us. While the immediate effects are pleasant and exciting, they are short-lived. So we end up wanting more and more and more because it doesn't satisfy, it doesn't fill the vessels. And after it's gone, we feel empty. On the other hand, when we come from a desire to receive in order to share, we desire something more lasting, more expansive. It is something that will bring us closer to the Creator and will come from a place of compassion, love, kindness, peace. And even if it does not bring immediate gratification, it will lead to a long-term fulfillment and satisfaction. For instance, let's see, we want to have a new job. Why do we want it? As a way to challenge ourselves, to reveal our greatest potential and share our gift with the world, or strictly because we don't feel appreciated and want a higher status and more recognition. In the latter case, it is clearly a desire to receive for myself. So we have to choose. A businesswoman wants to increase the wealth of her company. If it is so she can buy more toys and gain more power, or she can hire more people who need jobs, take better care of her current employees, and contribute to her community. It depends. In the latter case, it's a desire to receive in order to share, where in the first case, it's a selfish motivation. And same with somebody who wants to become a good actor. Is it for his personal validation, or is it because he wants to share his talents and use the fame as a platform to help the world, to smile, to whatever? So these examples are just show that the desire to receive is a positive and important thing. We were created like this, but the problem lies in the type of desire from which we act. And the Rav Ashlag Balasulam wrote that the Creator prepared two systems for each of us: the words of holiness and the words of impurity, one in opposition to the other. And throughout these systems, the soul passed and divided into two aspects, the body and the soul, where one is clothed in the other. So we all have within us the capacity to commit selfish acts, as well as the capacity to transform them into goodness. And our task is to transform the desire to receive for oneself into a desire to share. And when we achieve this, the Rav Ashlag tells us we can receive all the goodness of the thought of creation, this Shefa we're talking at the beginning. So becoming aware of these two types of desires is the first step towards this transformation. The work, or not needing anyone's approval. So what we need to do is to try to work and to try to, first of all, realize that what are our motivations. When we try to work of not looking for approval, we are going to be free to be really who we are. The exodus from Egypt happens in every human being. We have to take Egypt out of us. And in this training, in the inner healing groups and everything, we learn to discover the emotion that motivates each of us and what frustrates us in life. So we came with this desire to receive, which we try to fulfill more or less badly, generating negative emotions that result from a misperception of the reality. And God is helping us by sending us trials in which our shortcomings and the false conceptions are being revealed in order to get rid of it. And then when we ask for him to clean us, he just cleans us miraculously. So I just want to give you, to end this message, a little exercise. Hashem created us to receive his abundance. Okay, I hope we understood this. He wants to bless us, not a little, but a lot. He has given us everything in the material world: taste, smells, nature, colors, animals, family, whatever. And he also gives us the opportunity to be close to him, to bathe in his presence if we want to. We must be grateful to him in everything, in small things as in big things. He fills us with light, but we often continue to live in our bat caves. The reason is that the world operates according to the left side, which is judgment. It's not enough, you are not enough, you did more, you need to do better, you are not that, you are not this. But when we realize that we are actually filled with his light because we are a soul part of the divine, we are a neshama connected to him, everything can become clearer. So the point is to sound our motivations, to reveal the light that is within us, to remove the shell that is sheltering the divine spark, and to start to understand what the gifts, what is the purpose in our life, what he has placed within us. So what are the gifts that he has placed within you, and what is preventing you from putting them into practice? That's an exercise that you need to think about, to ponder, and in order to start to be free, to be saved, and to work out our salvation. So I hope this message helped you a little bit, and to prepare, that's going to be the reflection for the coming months in order to arrive to Yom Kippur and to get rid of a lot of those klipot. Shalom. If you like this video, please make a like and share the video. And we have on our website a lot of Torah classes that you can go and check. I'm sure you'll find something that you would like. Thank you very much, and shalom.